This video is of no interest to you whatsoever unless you want to stick a patch on an inflatable boat. If you want to do that, then this 20-minute long video shows you step by step exactly what you have to do to repair it. We cut a slit in this boat. This boat's 25 years old. Most people say you can't repair polyurethane, but just see how easily it's done in this video. The same process applies to Hypalon. Right, Billy, how do we patch a slit like that in a boat?
So first of all, we need to measure up how big the slice is, and then we will acetone the inside of the chool, glue the inside of the chool, and then we do a patch with a slightly thinner material than we'd use on the top. We'll measure that around 2 inches bigger than the slice in the chool, acetone and glue it, and second coat it and stick it on the inside.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Speeded this bit up, the measuring of the patch, but the process we're going to show you is being done on a polyurethane boat. It's exactly the same process for Hypalon. You use the same glues, you use the same thinners, you use the same cleaning agents. The only difference is, with Hypalon, you only sandpaper it. With polyurethane, if it's old, you sandpaper it and acetone it. But the acetone process, the rubbing with acetone, is critical always with PU. Why do you round the edges?
It's just so that there's no leading edge for any water, or when the tube's let down, it just finds it harder to lift it off, getting the corners to peel.
Yeah.
And that will be the size of the internal patch.
Okay, so now you've got to mix the glue up.
That's right. We're just going to use half a litre.
And how long does the glue last once you've mixed it up?
Try and have a look at it with 2 hours, 3 hours. Don't go thick if you leave it for too long. So,
This is the curing agent, yeah?
this is a hardener for it, yeah.
What ratio?
So on a half a litre, it'd be 25 millilitres of hardener to that. There's a good mix.
Once you paste it onto the fabric, it goes off pretty quickly though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
So it lasts only when it's in the tub?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you can glue something up and leave it a long time before you have to stick it 3 coats. And then just have a bit of thinners just to thin it down a little bit, 501.
The same Bostik manufacturer as the glue?
Yep.
501 thinners, okay, yeah. If you don't have thinners, can you just use straight glue?
Yeah. I know when the tube makers, they use their glue, they just use glue, they don't thin it down.
Yeah.
But just because we need to be a little bit quicker putting strakes on and gussets, we like to thin it down just to move that little bit faster.
Okay, yeah. Doesn't affect the strength of the glue?
No. As long as you don't use too much of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the glue.
Right, and then you acetone the fabric?
Yeah, acetone it. So you can see how it's shiny. You'd want it to go dull. So.
And this has to be acetone, yeah?
It has to be. It's the most important part is to have it all dulled off, all acetoned up.
And that's with the polyurethane?
That's right.
Okay, if you were doing Hypalon?
Hypalon, you'd be sanding it first.
Yeah.
Sand it and then acetone it. The exact same, except we don't sand the PU unless it's been in the water.
Yeah. And important to get right to the edges.
Edges is very, very important. It's always equally as important all over.
Yeah.
But
and the acetone is sort of opening the surface of the fabric, so the glue sticks to it.
That's right, yeah.
And you have to do the inside of the boat as well? This bit's going to go on the inside of the boat, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you'll apply 2 coats of glue to it. First one, and then give it a bit of time to cure, and then your second coat.
Okay.
even layer.
And how long would you leave it between coats?
Usually a couple of hours maybe, but you can do it a lot quicker or you can wait a lot longer. It all depends on what we're...
On the temperature and things.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so now we need to do the same acetoning to the inside of the boat, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll open it up, and then it's the exact same. Good. Dull it off. It'll still go dull on the inside.
Yeah. And you only do this when you've got a big slit like this and you've got to stop the air coming out.
That's right, yeah.
Because if you just stick a patch on the outside, it'll just get blown off.
It will, yeah, over time. It'll probably hold for a little bit, but yeah, if we've got the one on the inside, the air's pushing out, so it'll hold that in.
And if you've got a smallish hole, are you probably a bit better opening it up a bit so you can get inside?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
yeah. We could go in... sometimes I'd like to take the strake off, and then we'll open the seam up and go in through there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then seam it back up, put the strake back on. Or something like that. And get to it again nicely.
Yep. So any loose ends need to be cut off, yeah?
Take the frays off.
Yep.
You don't want them getting stuck in your patch when you put that on, because that can cause an air void.
Yeah. And then having acetoned it and trimmed up the edges, you're then going to put some glue on the inside as well?
Yeah, it'll have two coats as well, so it'll have a first coat and then we'll go for the second coat.
Okay.
When we stick the patch on.
If a tear like this goes across a seam, does that make it harder to repair?
Yeah.
Much harder.
Pretty much unfixable maybe.
Okay. I think we
but if it's on a baffle, we've had it.
Indeed. So we can fix it on a seam, whereas a private individual might struggle. If it crosses a seam, then a baffle, then the boat is probably a write-off.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You haven't got much chance of sorting out like that one.
Yeah. Okay, so we've let the glue dry for about an hour, which is the minimum amount of time you can really leave it to dry. You can leave it longer, but you wouldn't want to leave it any less. The smaller patches to go inside, the larger patches to go outside. We're now going to put the second coat of glue on. Do you test it to make sure it's dry first?
Yeah, it's just as long as it's touch dry.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't want to be sticky.
Yeah.
Same when you put it on.
Yeah. Again, important to get right to the edges.
That's right.
And we're using the same glue as we used earlier.
The exact same glue.
Okay. Yeah. And you wouldn't want to do this in direct sunlight, would you?
No. Always out of direct sunlight. The glue will go really thick.
Yeah, and so we're putting the second coat on the inside of the...
Yeah, same time as you do the patch.
Okay, yeah. And by putting the patch on the inside, it's going to let us pump the boat up to give it some shape to then stick the patch on the outside. And paintbrush is the best thing to put the glue on with?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're putting the second coat onto the outside patch?
No, that one will go on after we've marked the second.
Okay, right, when we get... Okay, so, but that's the patch all cut to size and shape?
This is the one, yeah, that'll go on the outside.
Okay, lovely. Right, and that's a thicker fabric than we've used for the inside?
Yeah, this is what we make the tubes out of.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And obviously we at XS can sell you all the bits you need to repair a boat.
Anything you need, yeah.
So if it is a bit cold, we need to use a heat gun just to get the glue to go off. And the glue will go off ready to put the patch on within a couple of minutes?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. You don't want it to go too dry though, do you?
No, you don't. It helps as well when you're sticking it down. It gives you that bit more flexibility when you're putting the patch on.
If it's still a little bit tacky, you can move the patch around.
That's it, right.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got to, you rub the patch down when it's in.
Okay, right, it's fine. So we've now got the patch ready to go, yeah?
Yep. We'll open her up.
So you get it inside, making sure it doesn't touch the glue-to-glue surface because it sticks really powerfully if it does. And this, of course, is not a perfect patch. It's just to stop the air coming out while we pump it up. Yeah. Get the edges as close to each other as you can, and then start rubbing it down. Okay. Yeah. And if the edge is all ragged, you need to tidy it up?
Yeah. You just use some scissors and tidy it up that way. You want to try and get your hand on the back of it.
Yeah.
So you have something to push against.
Yeah. This is all done obviously with the tube deflated. Not a lot of choice with the hole in it that big.
No.
Yeah.
Rubbing in a stick.
Yeah.
If you can get a board or anything like that behind it, just to give you a bit more.
Yeah. And how quickly will you be able to pump it up after you've done this?
Usually like to give it an hour or so.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd want to leave it as long as you can with the inside patch.
Yeah.
And then you can inflate it, mark the outside patch up.
And what's as long as you can? A day?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And if the inside patch leaks a little bit, it's not the end of the world.
No, it's just doing its job, keeping it together, really.
Yeah, and stopping the air rushing out.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then your top patch is doing the same thing, but from the inside.
Yeah.
From the outside, sorry. So, yeah, there's no chance of that coming out.
Okay, so now we wait, and in an hour's time or so, we'll put the glue on the outside and put the patch on.
Spot on.
So we're pumping it up now. Once it's pumped up, we'll check to make sure not too much air is coming out. And then we'll start prepping the outside to put the cosmetic patch on it that will actually hold the air in completely. Airtight.
Yep.
Okay, so put the patch on. Mask it up. This is so that when you put the glue on, it doesn't go all over the place.
Yeah, keep it all in, and also you'll be sanding it, so it's easier to sand to this line.
Okay.
And then you don't have an overscrub.
Yeah, and the marks there are to help you get it in exactly the right place when you come to put the patch down.
That's right.
That's a China pen you're using, China graph?
China graph.
Okay.
We've already acetone and glued these.
Yeah, so the patch is already acetoned and glued. And so now here we're going to mark with masking tape, stops glue over smear onto the rest of the boat. And you go just clear of the line, don't you?
Yeah.
There's going to be a mil or so of glue over smear.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
And then we can clean that off.
Yeah.
With a bit of thinners. You can use sandpaper or...
Yeah. So this is where the fabric's been is old and it's been exposed to the sun. You're going to acetone it afterwards, but to start with, we sandpaper it.
Yeah, with it being in the water and the sun, and it's been open to the elements, always give it a sand off, take that coat off it, and then give it the acetone, and the same again, 2 coats of glue.
Help to replug the machine in?
Yeah, it does.
You don't go too mad, you don't take the surface off completely. Just take away the hardness that develops over time in the sun and the salt water. So once it's all sanded down, now we're going to give it the acetone treatment, yeah?
That's right, yeah. You just give it a wipe first, just to get the excess dust off, and then give it a scrub.
Again, absolutely critical, because if you don't do this, the glue just won't get into the surface of the fabric.
That's it.
And the patch will last for a while, but it'll come off quickly.
Yeah. You need to make sure all the China graph comes off as well.
Yeah. Because if it gets under the glue, then you can't clean it off.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, this boat is 20 plus years old. It's actually here for a retube. So we've only shown you how you repair a really old and damaged boat. You're probably, if you had damage like this on a boat of this age, you're probably going to be better off retubing it.
And it's ready for the first coat.
First coat of glue. Still using the same glue from earlier?
Same glue. Still feels the exact same. It's not thickened up or anything.
Okay. And you don't want too much glue, do you?
Not so much, no.
No.
You're alright with your first coat, it can be a little bit thicker because it's going to bite in.
Yeah.
But if you put too much on, you'll end up with puddles, and then if you put the patch on when it's too wet, then you'll get air behind it while the glue separates from it.
Yeah. That's the first coat?
That's the first coat, yeah.
So just going to leave it for an hour now?
Yeah. Next stage.
Right, okay, so we're ready for the second coat.
Yeah. Boat first.
Boat first. then the patch. And so like the inside, we can put this on within a couple of minutes.
Yeah. As long as it's all the same dry and there's no excess glue anywhere that's a bit too thick.
Right. And once you've put the patch on, would you leave the boat inflated or would you deflate it?
I'd leave it inflated.
Leave it inflated,
yeah.
Okay. But if you stick the patch on when the boat was completely deflated, it puts the patch under a huge pressure when you pump it up.
That's right, yeah.
So you really do need to get this repair inside done, so that you can get the shape by getting air in it to put the patch on the outside.
That's right.
Okay. Yep. You can speed up the process of getting the glue to dry by using a heat gun. Obviously, you have to be very careful. You know, the flash points of these glue is very, very low. So obviously you have to know what you're doing if you're doing this. Otherwise, you just leave it to dry normally. You never use naked flame on it. So glues are ready, and we're now going to put the patch on. Work out where and how you're going to start. Where you're going to start at the top, or your marks, or the edges, or whatever. And once it goes together, it doesn't come apart. So you get your marks you made previously lined up. You start with an edge. You get a top edge on, and then, as you can see, Billy's working the air out as you go. This is why it's important to make sure that internal patch is stopping air coming out. And if you've only got a little hole, you might be best off opening it up slightly so you can get that patch on the inside, so that you can get this nice, smooth, flat patch on the outside. That's the one that actually keeps the air in and repairs the damage to the boat. Once you've got it down, you're not going to lift that. It's now a contact adhesive and it's not going anywhere. So you've still got air in that patch and you've got to get that out. So Billy will now use a tool that we use here, a roller. You could use anything. You can use a stiff stick, you can use anything you want, but you need to roll it down and get the glue to smooth out and get any air out. Now you're going to see Billy's going to put some more air in the boat to pump it up, to get it harder, so he can carry on working down on that patch to get it glued down as firm as he can. You haven't got a lot of time here to get this patch down hard, so you need to be geared up with your pump in place, with your tools in place. There's no good going away to look for something once you start doing this job. If you hadn't pre-patched the hole, what would happen now is you try putting in a lot of air pressure into it, it will literally just blow the patch off or form an air bubble in the centre of it. And you end up with an unsightly repair, and also one that isn't actually doing the job of holding the air in. So it's now a lot harder, the boat's a lot harder, and you can see that we're working away, getting out every bit of uneven glueness, if there's such a word, and any air that's in there as well. Now, as I said, this boat is actually nearly 25 years old, and we wouldn't normally repair a boat like this. We've done this just to show you how to repair polyurethane. It's all repairable, but you get to a stage with an older boat where you think, I can do this, I can buy all the tools, I can buy all the glue, I can buy all the fabric, and I can spend a day or two doing it. But in reality, maybe my tube has reached the end of its life and I need to think about a retube. We do retubes at Excess. We retube every make of boat, not only ours, but other makes as well. We have a vast number of templates for different boats, and if we haven't got a template, we'll make one off of the tube we take off. So now that patch is down, off comes the masking tape, and you can see how neat and tidy it is already. When this is completely dried, probably leave it for a good day. We will then come back and clean away the glue around the edges. You won't want to start cleaning the glue around the edges too soon, because if you start too soon, the thinners or the cleaning agent will get in and lift the patch and do damage to what you've repaired. But there you are, that's how you repair a polyurethane boat. It's as easy as gluing Hypalon. If Billy can do it, anybody can do it.